Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. The Brownies are changing their name. That's right, that venerable institution of Girl Scouts has decided in 2022 that Brownies is no longer an acceptable name for 6 and 7-year-olds. The reason they're citing for this is not because it refers to brownies, as in the little pixies swarming about in the wilderness, but rather because the term brownies is racialized. Yes, the term itself apparently is just now realizing, they are just now realizing the term itself refers to a derogatory name for particular skin colors. I think this is a missed opportunity. Now, your knee-jerk response is, oh yeah, we got to change this so that way the kids don't get made fun of. I would say we are totally in the dark here. There's nothing wrong with brownies. Like I said, they're in Celtic folklore. Most places have some sort of a story of little people who live in the forests, except I imagine in deserts where there's not many forests. But like I said, it's a pretty common myth worldwide. And while I'm going to excuse children from using it as an insult, because children use everything as an insult. They're experimenting between what is humor and what is not humor. So if you wear the wrong shoes to school, oh, you've got Keds and I've got Nikes. Who cares? It's a shoe. But kids care, because that's the expanse of their world at the time that they're growing up. Like I said, the problem is not just to change the name. That's shoving the problem off. Now, there's certain things I can accept. The Washington Redskins, yeah, that name was offensive. No question about it. The Edmonton Eskimos, there are actually tribes of Eskimo. It's a very small subgroup of the Inuit. But Eskimo has a derogatory meaning to the larger population of Inuit. So I understand why they changed their name to the Elks. But the Kansas City Chiefs, no one's protesting them. Although, in my opinion, given Kansas City's other mascot, and whatever the hell, is it Indianapolis that has Chief Wahoo, or used to? Yeah, those are offensive. But brownies, really? Again, I'm supporting in my own way, I'm supporting the organization changing the name because kids have it hard enough. They don't need to be made fun of in another way. But this whole idea of racialization really doesn't occur in the way that they think it does. There are racists, yes, in all skin tones and colors. Heck, even in Asia, they have divisions of who belongs to what class, what category, etc. And they are not unique in what they do. So even if you eliminate race, people are still prone to discriminating against one another. Whoever you are, you walk into a back alley somewhere and there's a bunch of people, let's make them guys, they're all wearing leather jackets and they're looking at you mean, you're going to categorize them. The brain is a categorizing machine. Now this gets perverted when the brain over specializes in that way. The mind is supposed to categorize because us versus them used to be a very valid survival strategy. If you've watched some documentaries or read Jared Diamond's works, then you know the tribe over the hill is not necessarily friendly, not necessarily an enemy. And if you bump into their gardens or if you trespass on their hunting territory, it can be a very bad thing for you. Is that racism? No, it's a fear of the other. And racism is basically a fear of the other writ large. But when you're starting to talk about racialized people, I really have a problem with that word. There have been complaints about 6 or 7-year-olds who have been discriminated against because of using the word brownies. And for that, I do say shame on you, whoever thought it was a good idea to tease a 6 or 7-year-old girl because she's trying to do a little bit of good in the world. I wonder how long the Beavers are going to keep their names. The crux of this all comes back to the word racialization. Now, if you read it, it either involves categorizing somebody by race or using a derogatory term. Now, again, I think actually, the article I read was they had 6 or 7 complaints. With all the brownies in North America, they had 6 or 7 complaints. That's a pretty abysmally low number. But the same token, I'm sympathizing to the complaints. But I want to know who's making the complaints, what is the nature of the complaint, and what is the situation behind it. Because 6 or 7-year-olds have not really developed their ability to judge a character. Heck, most of the kids on this street are very friendly because the adults have all been friendly towards them. That makes them rather more trusting of strangers than they should be. Is that right? Maybe not, but the same token, it's the way we do things. But calling it racializing when you have so few complaints is distressing. I would want to address those complaints. Oh, who made fun of you? Well, little Tanya at school. Sorry to anybody named Tanya. It's just the first name that popped in my head. Okay, let's go to Tanya. Hey, Tanya. Says you're making fun of Loretta. There we go. Tanya, you're making fun of Loretta. Well, yeah, because she's in Brownies and she's got brown skin and blah, blah, blah. Well, is this a life lesson for Tanya? Yeah, it is. Is it something she heard at home? Quite probably. Like I said, kids are geniuses when it comes to making up insults, but parents hold on to those insults. One of my frequent jokes is racists haven't come up with a new insult since the 1930s. And it's true. You look back at what people are saying today, and it's the same crap they were saying in the 30s and the 40s. The N-word is not a new word. Brownies is not a new word. This stuff goes way back, 80, 90 years, if not longer. And racists think they're being creative when they string it together with something else. Look, I made a no word. No, you made a portmanteau. You're probably not the first. You probably won't be the last. There was the Pizzagate scandal, where apparently they were using pizza toppings to make derogatory remarks about somebody else. That's relatively new. But the same token, there were jokes made about that in the 1980s, when Just for Laughs first started. And even before that, they would have comedians on the show. There's a guy, Glenn, I don't remember his last name, Glenn something. He said, we're not allowed to make fun of minorities, but we can make fun of food. So how about them tacos coming to take our jobs, eh? Now, the difference is he had the charisma to be able to carry that joke. And he framed it in a way that everybody understood what he was talking about. And people knew he wasn't racist, but he was making fun of it. I don't think he would be allowed to perform comedy today. Because even as much as he frames it, the sensitivity towards racism has changed. And not in a good way. We need to stomp out racism. We need to stomp out microaggressions, as they're called. And if you are committing an aggression against a 6 or a 7-year-old person, we might need to stomp you out. But what we need to do most of all is try to figure out in society where this is coming from. My grandfather was not a hero, but the community treated him a little bit with suspicion because he was an engraver, and he used to take commissions from black people, from Indian people, whatever. They came up to him and they said, "Why are you taking these commissions?" He said, "What color's their money?" He was quoting an ancient Roman emperor, but the point stands. Hey, you got money? We do business. And he had that philosophy in the 50s and 60s when racial tension was at its highest. That's not the attitude that we have today. There's this idea of destruction and boycotting. Boycotting is laughable because Steve Hofstadter has a whole good routine on it. But people threaten to boycott things that they were never using in the first place. It's not a boycott, it's doing what you do. I can't boycott Walmart because I don't go to Walmart because I disagree with their business practices. I'm already in a boycott. However, my family does consume products from Walmart because of my boycott, I can't tell my parents or my friends when you come over, don't bring anything from Walmart. No, they're stopping off, and if they're bringing whatever the heck they're getting from Walmart, I have no ability to say no. This new thing where people are throwing Heinz beans at works of art to protest the fact that oil was made at them is absolutely insane. First of all, that oil was refined and used so long ago, it probably has cycled out of the system. But by you destroying it, you're now making them spend more money in cleaning and restoring it. If you'd left it alone, my cat produces more CO2 emissions in any given day than those paintings would in their entire lifetime. But no, they want to be gluing themselves to walls and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. That's not the way you do a protest. Like I said, the Girl Guides, because the Girl Guides rule over the Brownies, should be taking these complaints. And instead of being on the defensive going, "Oh, we're going to change our name so this doesn't happen again," they need to go on the offense, by which I don't mean come out screaming, shrieking, becoming Karens, and I hate to use that word, but that's what describes it, but to sit down with, like I said, with the people who complain and hunt that thing back to its source. Whether it's Tanya, whether it's something she heard, whatever it is, if you're getting a complaint, you need to follow it back. And change your name. I got no problem with the name change. It's such a reactionary thing to do. And reactionary doesn't win anything. You need to be proactive. We can change the name Brownie for now because I accept. I live in a city where 60% of the city is not of white heritage. And out of respect for those people not of white heritage, I'm willing to let that little bit of Celtic history go. Yeah, historically that was it. It doesn't happen anymore. Let's do it for the sake of the future. But let's also nail these sons of guns to a wall. Like I said, who the hell attacks a 6 or 7-year-old? Who attacks a painting? Who tears down a statue? There's sick people involved here. And while normally I would love to go after the people involved, and I am in a way, because like I said, they're being reactive rather than proactive, I want to see them involved in the community, doing the community outreach thing that they do. Nothing says you can't be there, pick your YMCA of, the Girl Guides. Not the YMCA. Oh my God, what was that song by? That's embarrassing. I can't remember who performed YMCA. But no matter what, you take out your little band of merry little girls and you go to the shopping malls, you line them up as best as you can, and you can accept donations. There's nothing wrong with having a little donation tin there. So it's still a fundraising event, but you also show how the Girl Guides, the Brownies, the Cub Scouts, whoever it is, are working in harmony. Now I know racism is not going away. I think it will in a few hundred years because the differences are going to be imperceptible. Eventually, we're all going to be a shade of yellow or a shade of brown. Occasionally, people will be born white or black, but the way genetics go, sooner or later the populations mix, and then you get brown and yellow because there's a billion of each, and genetically speaking, people are going to wind up having children of mixed races. Now, I have no problem with that. Now, it may turn out racism evolves into something different, but it's going to be very, very finicky. And on that freak occasion where you get that white-skinned, red-headed child with the green eyes, they'll probably be celebrated as something special and unique or looked down on because, redheads get the short end of every stick. And when that black little girl is born with those beautiful eyes and, that beautiful hair and everything, hopefully she'll be treated very well. I'm making that up just because by genetic variance, I'm not making it up, but the odds are it's going to happen. Happens all the time. Some family that hasn't had blonde hair in their history for generations, up it pops. Racism needs to end, and changing the name of something doesn't help end it, unless you're the Washington Redskins. And then, you needed to get your butt kicked. But other than that, we need to start confronting racism. Make it our business. If you see it, don't let it happen. Now, don't go over screaming like a maniac. Be calm, be polite, because those are the memories that stick. It also sticks when you yell at somebody, but for the wrong reasons. And that's the strategy we need to move forward to. We can't go around changing every single thing at the drop of a hat because people are going to invent new and wilder iterations of the insults that they already have. So what we need to do is figure out where these pockets are. Figure out the source of the insults. Besides children picking up on random things, you're a cheater, and for the rest of their life, that kid is known as cheater because they double dribbled the basketball on a court or something. That's the way kids are. I get it. Don't even know how to conclude this because I don't think it can be concluded. But we need proactive strategies, not an arbitrary board that sits there and decides the people who get employed based on their skin color, not an arbitrary fact that says you're not as funny as this person because you're the wrong skin color. But we need real change where everybody can stand on their own merit. And our current strategies are not working. Being proactive should be working, but it hasn't worked. Look at the NFL. Look at Brian Flores. And I think he was a good coach. I still think he is. But he had some pretty significant complaints about the Miami Dolphins. Now he's in Pittsburgh being a defensive coach, and he's had some troubles, but at the same token, I'd probably hire him. So why aren't 31 teams in the NFL hiring him? Well, right now, because of the lawsuit, and they don't want the drama. But that's probably a whole other episode I could go into. Treat people right, by which I don't mean you have to be nice to everybody, but at the very least, make sure you're treating them on their merits and not their skin color or background. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to click the link down in the comments and buy a book. It really helps the channel out. and we hope you have a fantastic day.